In this episode, Golden and I discuss Free Guy. Full speed ahead.
The Omega Beam. Full power. The Omega Beam.
Welcome to the Omega Beam number 170. I'm your host, Oren Merton. We recently had an episode about Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds' second collaboration called The Atom Project. Well, now we're going back to discuss their first collaboration, the movie Free Guy. It was delayed quite a while due to the pandemic, and then after being in theaters, it took a while to hit streaming on Disney Plus because of the existing contracts with 20th Century and all kinds of things. But anyway, now it is readily available for digital purchase or streaming on Disney Plus, which means it's time for us to discuss it, first without spoilers, then full spoiler. Let's get to it. I am here with Golden to talk about
a movie that we have been waiting at least 18 months to see, or at least I have.
This is one of those movies that the pandemic just kept pushing back the date because they did not want to release it first on streaming. They wanted it to have a theatrical release. And rather than do a simultaneous thing or whatever, they just waited until they felt like, okay, things have evened out enough that we can release it and it will make some money. And so they finally released Free Guy after all that time. And we waited until it was available to purchase on iTunes.
And I feel like this was an okay one to see at home.
Yeah.
I still kind of wish that we'd gone to the movie theater for Dune.
Dune definitely
but
larger than life, huge, gigantic. This movie, it kind of plays out like a video game, and as such, having it on a big TV where you'd watch a video game, it's all good.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be anything that was startling or world-changing.
Right. There's no real twists.
But there are some surprises, which I don't think that you know about in terms of the cast.
As in, I've seen the movie, and it's such a surprise I don't know about it yet.
Let's see. We're going to start with this.
Okay.
Do you remember who Hugh Jackman played?
In this movie?
He was masked player in Ally.
Oh.
Do you know who Dwayne Johnson played in the movie? Dwayne Johnson was bank robber number 2.
Huh. Okay.
How about Tina Fey?
No.
She was a vacuuming mom. What about... So that was behind the one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. John Krasinski
Oh, no.
was a silhouetted gamer.
Interesting. So they just brought all their friends in.
Yeah, I mean,
For little cameos.
Chris Evans is obvious.
Yeah.
For reasons that we shall not discuss. Alex Trebek. It was really... You know, if you figure this is a year after his death, basically.
Yeah, but it was obviously filmed before he died, and it just took so long to get out.
So they actually did have quite a few, and I'm guessing that some of these people that were like YouTubers or Twitch people
Really were?
Tyler Blevins, Destiny Claymore, Art Nerd is Destiny Claymore. So there are a few that are actually people that people would just know.
Right. Yeah, it's like after we watched this movie, the thing I said to you and that I stick by is that this is a movie that you know what's coming up, you know where it's going. There's nothing particularly shocking or surprising about the story, but the fun is just watching it get there.
Yes, and I think it is a lot of fun watching it get there.
It is. You know, Ryan Reynolds is certainly one of the most charming
I think we're just going to say
actors
charismatic.
around.
And for those of you that play D&D, we're probably talking, somewhere between 19, 20 here.
He's definitely very charismatic. You know, he's muscular enough to pull off the things he does, but he's certainly not a bodybuilder. But what he's got is he's obviously very fit, very, very fit, and he's a handsome man, and he's got just this charm.
There was a Deadpool poster behind that one kid, right?
Was there? I think there was.
I think there was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very self-referential, meaning both in the Disney world and in the pop culture world. We can go into more when we get to our spoiler section.
I was having flashbacks to Ready Player One during the movie.
It is, another video game movie, so
because it is talking about basically a multiplayer system.
Yeah.
With, your avatars and things like that. And although I don't know with Ready Player One if there are really that many NPCs that we ever
Yeah, it wasn't part of the story.
There's a few
yeah.
that with Ready Player One, you at least think they're NPCs, even if they're not really.
Exactly. That's not that. It's a different story, but it's the same genre, definitely. So to end our spoiler-free section, if you haven't seen this,
yes, that was a very quick spoiler-free section.
Yeah, because this is not a deep movie. But it's a fun movie. It's a movie absolutely worth seeing if you like this kind of fun. It looks gorgeous.
If you want,
it's
light
acted well.
Entertainment.
Yeah, I mean everybody in it has a good time. This is not the kind of movie you're going to walk away learning something brand new about the human condition, but you will be entertained.
And you want to have some laughs. I mean,
yeah, it's a popcorn movie, but it's a good popcorn movie. It's one that you'll walk away from thinking
this was popcorn during the movie.
We did. You'll walk away thinking this is a really good 2 hours. And it is. All right, 3, 2, 1 spoilers. One of the great advantages of having Walt Disney be your parent company when you're making a movie is suddenly you have access to Marvel. You have access to Lucasfilm. And so it was a wonderful use of soundtrack and a wonderful use of visual when at one point, Blue Shirt Guy, the Ryan Reynolds character, pulls out the Captain America shield, hence the Chris Evans cameo.
Yeah, Chris Evans is like, what the? Yeah.
And then in another one, you have a lightsaber pulled out, and the Star Wars movie music comes in. And you can do that when the company making the movie owns all that IP. So, yeah, it was just fun. It was an acknowledgement of the world in which we live, though fantasy and future enough that you can have an NPC with AI.
I was able to actually not have the spoiler of the whole reason for this playing out is because of the fact that these two people created an AI system.
Right.
And it was stolen from them, basically.
Right.
So I was able to avoid that. So that was kind of a surprise going in that I found out that's what it's about. So it's no surprise to me when the AI actually starts to meander from the storyline.
Right.
It's like, what if I don't choose this? What if I can wear sunglasses? And I love the sunglasses tell you who the players are versus the NPCs.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I thought that the way that they explain the Blue Shirt Guy sort of evolving because his programming was to fall in love with, with Millie, basically. And so when he sees her, he does fall in love with her and thus begins his journey.
Well, and he sees the island every day.
Yeah.
That's why he stands, and you see him standing at the window at the very beginning of the movie playing with his shutters.
Right.
Because he's looking at his island, which he thinks is like a paradise.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that they did seed the story well. Not that this is, the world's greatest story or anything, but I think that it was well constructed.
Yes.
And it has internal consistency. It makes sense. And I think that the actors all do a great... I mean, obviously Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds, and he's fantastic. Jodie Comer, I think, who is Millie, does a wonderful job. Joe Keery, who's from Stranger Things, and we adore in Stranger Things, was Keys and was fantastic for this part. They did manage, again, self-referential. The big joke in Stranger Things, for those who haven't watched it, with his character, is that he has the greatest hair. And in the first season, he's always talking about hair products he uses. And throughout the seasons, someone's always commenting on how amazing his hair is. And so they do throw in a line in this one about his great hair. So, it's that kind of movie.
It's a movie that gets to have fun.
It's a movie that has fun. It's a movie that winks at you, and it's okay. It's not a fourth wall breaking movie, but it has just enough meta jokes that it knows you're going to get that just keeps it light and enjoyable. And it's hard to say anything negative about this movie because it's just comfort food. It's just really good comfort food.
I'm still kind of a little weirded out by Ryan Reynolds' face on
bodybuilder.
Dude. Yeah, that it's a little unnerving. It's nothing to do with Aaron Reed. It's weird.
Yeah,
it is. I love catchphrase. Comment 2.
Right.
Comment 2.
Right. TBD. The idea is the
art department wasn't done with him.
Right. The villain, Taika Waititi, says at one point, because Free Guy is popular, he says, oh, let's make him more popular, roid him out, make him a hitman, do all this stuff to him. But he ends up promoting the creation of this other character called Dude that is basically Blue Shirt Guy literally on steroids.
And we love the fact that Millie's trying to steal this information. But when she tells Blue Shirt Guy, you come back to me when you're like over level 100. He's like, okay. And he does. And he comes back to her. And by then, he's really popular. So he goes back to Revengeman Button's house, Channing Tatum, and wants to steal it. And he and Buddy are there to steal it. And they're trying to figure out, okay, you got the gun. Okay, well, maybe you hold the gun. And Revengeman Buttons comes. He's like, oh, dude, you're the Blue Shirt Guy. Oh, you want that? Anything you want. Just take it. Just take it. Popular.
Right. He's become this viral sensation in the real world because he's, this is supposed to be like your Grand Theft Auto.
And he can't even say the Revengeman Buttons tagline.
Right.
And I guess it was Revengeman Buttons, the guy, the kid behind Revengeman Buttons. The mom was Tina Fey.
Right.
But he can't even say it because it's not a good guy saying.
Right. And he is like, just
like,
purely
no, I
good.
Can't say that.
Right. But it is interesting, they create this sort of, I don't want to say Grand Theft Auto, but it's clearly designed to be this video game where you play basically just a hoodlum and do nasty things in this world. And he, as an NPC who's leveling up and has AI, he decides what he wants to do is be a noble hero. And I thought it was just sweet how this NPC becomes a viral sensation in the real world for being a good guy.
And the kid is also from Stranger Things.
Yeah. And in the end, the very, very end, he is Free Guy. I mean, the title comes true in the very end of the movie that he is free. It just takes 2 hours for him to get there. But yeah, like we were saying, if you want 2 hours of great CG fantasy fun, especially I'm sure if you're a gamer, you'd love this even more. But it was just completely enjoyable.
I like how they have to say that Maddie Quadruple is the one that plays the 22-year-old gamer behind Revengeman Buttons, is actually like 40 years old, almost.
Oh.
So they have to say 22-year-old gamer. Yeah, he was born in 83.
Yeah, that's a while ago. Always interesting when you can play young for a long, long time. I did find it interesting when we saw the list of producers that this movie was produced in part. Obviously, there's a lot of production companies involved in a movie this big and expensive, but one of them was Berlanti, who, of course, does all the Arrowverse shows and has a huge deal with Warner Brothers. He's got an office on the Warner Brothers lot. He does so much TV and everything for them. And yet, he also helped produce this movie, which hey, why not? If you're a producer, you can produce anything you want. But I just thought that was interesting. And in a sense, this does have a bit of Berlanti in that Berlanti is nothing if not all about the happy ending and the polish. This did have happy ending and polish.
Okay, so Tina Fey was the vacuuming mom's voice.
Okay.
But not the body. That's why it didn't kind of look like her, but it sounded familiar.
Okay.
Because I think I would have otherwise recognized her.
Fair enough. So overall, definitely, if this sounds interesting.
What I actually expected to happen when she was in the server room, and he was holding the axe and she confronted him, was for security to surround him. Because they got upset with how he killed the other security guy in the game. Kind of expected that to happen.
Could be. Yeah, talk about things we were wondering if they were going to happen. Part of me was kind of wondering if there was going to be a moment where towards the end we see Millie approach Free Guy, and Free Guy basically says that he understands. He understands that she can't be in the fantasy world all the time, that she has a life in another world, and he's okay with that because he gets it. And she, of course, finally realizes that Keys is the one that both loves her and that she's not been able to let go all this time. I was wondering if at the very, very end there would be a moment where Millie and Keys both come in the game together to both introduce themselves to Blue Shirt Guy.
Oh, see, that's not what I was wondering. I was wondering if there would be another Millie avatar that walks by.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you never know. Could be.
But he's got his buddy.
He does. He got his buddy back, which is really what you need. All right. Well, thank you, Golden.
You are welcome.
And that's it for this episode. You can find the show notes at theomegabeam.com/170. If you like this episode, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Your reviews help people who like this stuff find our podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions, please drop us a line at info@theomegabeam.com. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.
The Omega Beam. The Omega Beam. Full stop.